2020. A couple things before we get started. I talked to Bill Kearns, and we don't need an executive session for the Fisher Hill situation, but I would like to move the Fisher Hill section up to 4 to the highway report because we need some advice from Danny. Is that okay with the board?
Fine.
Okay. And the second thing is, Bill sent out a memo, and Kathy responded. I responded whether or not we want to talk about the CIC building. My response was I would rather put it off because I don't like to put things on the agenda. Somebody might be interested in listening, and if you don't put it on the agenda, they don't have the opportunity. So it's up to the board if you want to include that or not. It is not an urgency thing.
Because I did respond back. I said I didn't see any urgency to it, but as long as it was sort of recent information, we could talk about it. But I see your point. I think it's fine. We hold off.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay with that?
You're fine, Joe.
Okay. All right. So a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of adopting the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good. Okay, approval of the minutes of Monday, October 5th. Do we have any additions or corrections?
Some corrections, even though I wasn't there. Does that still count?
Sure, why not?
On the second page, third line down, it says sale if for the, I think it should say sale is for the health. John Gregory stated this sale if for the health. Should read John Gregory stated sale is for the health.
Okay.
I read right over that because I knew it was supposed to be is.
And then in that, on that same line farther over to the right, it says the bids look for work in the winter. It should read the bidders. The bidders look for work in the winter.
Okay. Are there any other corrections or additions? If not, a motion to accept the amended minutes of October 5th.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of adopting the amended minutes of October 5th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I abstained. I was not present.
Correct. So
at
we
that
have
meeting.
4-1 with the 4 yeses. Okay, the warrants. I know I signed mine this morning. There were John, myself, and Stan. So I guess we're okay. If anybody else needs to sign them, they're there.
I signed him.
Okay,
I
good.
signed them after Kathy. I was the last one to sign. They're all done.
Perfect. All right, Danny, highway report.
So we've been up in the village park trying to do that in between the rains and stuff. We got more grading and still got some culverts we haven't gotten to yet. And we've been hauling sand in as they have it over to the pit. Working on the trucks to get them everything ready for the beautiful white stuff. The village, I think, does the village park got its own line item?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'll wait on that then.
Oh, no. Well, not really. It's kind of opening bid.
Well,
Just
I'll
a
give an
firewood
update on the
bid.
village park then. So we were hoping to do all the slopes and everything on the village park and have it seeded, but with the weather, every time it rains, we can't move up there. So I think for now, it's just going to be smoothed up and left for this year. We still can do the entranceway. That has to be graded out more. But I think as far as anything else in there, probably left until next summer. But it'll be, once it freezes up, they'll be able to go in and do the logging and everything.
I think that came out really, really good.
Danny, and a thought for Danny and feedback from the rest of the group. I was thinking once you get done, before the logging starts and freeze up, there's I think it's a hemlock log that was setting off to the left as you go up. I was thinking that you would put that log a little bit beyond across the road, a little bit beyond where the culvert is, so that people can drive up and use that first part where the gravel is.
Yeah.
Once you get it shaped up, somebody could get in there and rip around in that. If it gets some more rain and gets soft, rip it up and fill it up with ruts, and you'd like to have it freeze up smooth.
Yeah. Well, if they go out there, I leveled up out in where the turnaround part is going to be. If they make it that far, you know who it is, because they're not going to make it back out. It's that soft. So, but no, I'm going to try doing some of the slopes and the roadway, so the water will shed off from it. And I think that's it, because before, if it rained, about 2 days later, we could go up and work it. And now it doesn't, the rain from Friday, we still couldn't go in today with a loader. It's too wet. So we're just going to smooth it up and let it, so they can get in, freeze it up, then they can do their logging. Probably the wood, and I mean, that was explained on the bid to firewood. It probably is going to have to freeze up to get that second pile out of there, the further one out.
Right. And I haven't told the rest of the board yet that the concern was with the bidder, how firm we were on that date. And, told them that like to have it all out by the 1st of November, but weather dependent. And we understand if it rains and it's soft, we're going to have to be flexible and give them an extension to get the wood out.
Correct.
You're talking just the firewood?
Yes.
The firewood, yeah.
Yeah.
We had hoped to have that all out of there before the logging starts, but we may have to wait for freeze up before we can do that.
Yeah. We went up today, David and I went up today, and there's a pile right there, right after where the gravel ends. And I'm loading it onto the trucks, and we're just going to truck it out of there to get that out of the way. So that'll be gone, and then I'll start smoothing up the roadway and the slope a little bit. That's all I got for that.
Okay, Danny, we have.
I don't think everybody knew that you intended to go in there and mulch that, blow the mulch on the banks. Probably still will if the weather allows it, but if it stays wet like this, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to dry out enough now to go beyond that culvert.
Right.
So the culvert's in, and there's gravel there. I haven't gone up with a grader yet to finish that up. We're finished up the entrance up to the culvert, this year. That's no problem.
Can it be seeded just where the road, up to the culvert, just to sort of finish that entrance?
We could, yep.
I mean, I just think that that would help.
Yep, we could do that.
Okay, Danny, we have a question for you concerning the situation, the dust signs on Fisher Hill.
Yep.
So the individual is supposed to make restitution and do his community service.
Yep.
So Bill asked me are you willing to supervise his community service?
Well, he contacted us after he got caught about that, and under good faith, he was going to come and do some for us. And he came and he signed the paperwork about volunteer or whatever for us, but he never did anything he said. So far as I'm concerned, that if he couldn't take that responsibility to show it in the beginning, I don't need to waste the town's time babysitting them If he couldn't find the time before, I don't really care to deal with it.
Okay, well, I'll let Bill know, and then I guess obviously if you're not, if you're unwilling or don't want to supervise him, I guess if he's gonna continue to do this, somebody else is gonna have to supervise him. I don't know how.
Well, he'll have to do is, I mean, if you guys want him to do the community service in Grafton, I'll do it if you're telling me to. But I just think that, you know, he contacted us and said that he wanted to come and he was going to sweep some bridges and all that for us. And he came, signed the paperwork, and never called me back. You know, he just really kind of just let everything drop. So
Well, Bill isn't here, but when I talked to Bill this afternoon, he is required by law, by the
but
court.
he doesn't have to do it in Grafton. He
Oh.
can do the community service anywhere.
Okay.
But I think they were trying to say, you know, he did the damage in Grafton, let him come back there and do it. But I mean, that's kind of up to you guys.
Well, it's up to the board how you want to proceed. I will tell Bill that Danny, of his situation where he didn't come back and do it. So I don't know how you want to proceed. Don't mention any names and comments, just
Right.
who's going to supervise him. Yeah, Kathy, go ahead.
Probably the diversion board needs to be notified on that. I think you have to get direction from them.
Okay, so
There's been an email that has come out on that, and an email that asks, you know, if we wanted him or not. So, if we don't, they'll send him to another town or someplace that will deal with it.
well, does the board feel? How strongly does the board feel that he should do his community service here? Or
I think he should.
Does anybody know how many hours it is?
no?
I thought it was 20 hours, but I might be wrong.
That's what was in the email, was 20 hours.
Yeah.
It was 20. for the
Could
discussion.
Walter use them for raking leaves or something?
I don't see why not. It's just the question is I guess the real question is, do we want to proceed and have the board notified that he needs to do his community service, and we want him to do it here in Grafton. If that's what the board wants to do, then we can have Bill send, you know, make sure it happen. Or if you don't care, as long as he does his community service somewhere else.
I think he ought to do it here. I mean, I think, you know, for these guys, I think at the end of the day to wash trucks and a grader and things like that, I don't see why that couldn't happen, things like that. I know, you know, sweeping of bridges is great too, but I think there's any numbers of things that could happen.
I agree. So if it's okay, then I will let Bill know that we want that. So as Kathy said, notify the board and tell the board that we wanted to do his community service here, and he hasn't been doing his due diligence. Okay?
Yeah.
All righty.
I got a question for Danny. Danny, how many yards of sand do you put out to bid each year?
You guys haven't bid it for the last couple of years. I haven't tallied up the slips yet this year on what it is. But
What was it last year?
I think we bought around 6,000 yards in last year.
Okay. Do you know? Do you know how much of that you drew and how much was delivered?
We hauled it all.
You hauled it all. None was delivered.
No.
Okay. Okay.
I think the first year up there, I think some of it was delivered, but I think that was only the first year that we're up to the new location.
Anything else for Danny?
Well, I had some more Village Park related things and things how we were talking about Village Park. Can we just,
Sure.
you know, under the highway, can we do it now?
Yeah, why not? Go ahead.
So I was looking at expenses, Danny.
Yeah.
And, so here's what I have. In our reserve, we have $9,043.51. We, got a check from Durgan and Crowell, or Peter Durgan, for $1,484.53. That was for the saw logs that we cut, opening up the road and parking area. So that gives us a total of $10,438.04. So far, we've spent $802 and change on the 2 culverts. How much was the header, Danny? The concrete
I
header?
think not 100%, but I think it's $410. That bill will have to be. It should have been already paid for because we've had that for a little while.
Okay, so you took that out of inventory.
Yes.
All right.
Do you
And
want that
then-
replaced for inventory and moved to,
Yeah, I don't know if you. I'd have to look through the slips and see if that has come. Washburn's a little slow about billing sometimes. So
Okay.
that bill may be still out there because I say sometimes they're 30, 60 days out before they bill. But it could have been already paid.
Okay, and then the roll of fabric, or the what do you call it? The road fabric.
Road fabric.
Yeah, road fabric. $309.10.
Yep.
So 1,100. It's about $1,500 right there. Question to the board is, we would have about $8,500 in that reserve if we wanted to put any more gravel out or extend what we've done. If that worked with Danny's schedule, if the weather let him do it, whatnot. Or we just have Danny smooth it up and secure it until after the logging is done. I look for Danny's thoughts as well as the rest of the select board's thoughts. What we should or shouldn't do with that.
So you haven't got any of the bills on the gravel that we put there yet. Already.
Oh, right. I had the gravel there, but you're right. I didn't get those bills.
we haven't gotten them from Lori yet.
Yeah, Lori and Sosasno pit.
Right.
You're right. I don't have those numbers.
I guess I would think, Alan, that finish up what you've got at this point, and then let everything else freeze up, and then when the logging is completed, or at least the first go round of logging, Tim had mentioned it might be 2 winters up there, depending on timing and things, like the last time we talked to him. And my thought is we go ahead and do the logging, then go back up and then finish up.
I kind of agree with Stan.
Time wise for us, that's what I'd like to see happen. I mean, if we had a little time to put some more right there in the beginning, fine. But I still have 3 culverts I'd like to get in this year, if not maybe 4. And then we still got a lot of leaves to blow, and we have always the grading to do just before freeze up too. So
I wasn't pushing for it. I just wanted to have this discussion. So if people say, well, why didn't you finish? Or why this or why that? Everybody's heard this discussion and knows what the thinking was.
I wouldn't mind putting down like 2 loads, maybe 3 more loads beyond the culvert, so that they could get that first pile of wood out of there. So that, I mean, that would give them a start on what they're purchasing too, because we're right there on the edge of them reaching that. Probably 2-3 loads of just bank run or something would get the log truck back enough where they could get that pile out of there.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I support,
That's how we'll go with it then.
yeah, does everybody
Everybody
agree
agree?
with that strategy?
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay. All righty.
Okay.
Hey, Danny, before you go,
Yeah.
I noticed the other day up on 35, that new paving area, the last cut that goes, you're almost into Chester. There's still some of that plastic liner laying
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
side of the road.
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
I think there's some, I forgot there's some in the old log landing over there too.
Okay.
We'll get that tomorrow. It's supposed to be a rainy day, so.
It just doesn't look good sitting there.
No, I actually forgot all about that.
Okay.
And actually, that sign just coming into the village, it was tipping. We straightened it up. It sets right on ledge, and now it's tipped over. That says blind driveway ahead. Really, the tree and stuff has been cut since that sign was put in right by Cavell's driveway. I don't feel that it's really a blind driveway anymore. You can see right across there now that all that brush they took out of there. So if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to pick that sign up and not worry about putting it back in.
Was it requested to go there, or why?
I think the state put that in under one of the grants we had years ago. I can't remember what they called it, a high-risk roadway or something. I don't know if you remember that, John, but 121 was part of that, Chester Hill. The corner on the Sharp Curve on 35, they put them signs all in under that grant.
Yeah.
But there used to be a row of like some type of a bush between Lenny Gravell's property and that driveway that goes up. So it blocked the view up through there, and that's been all cut for a long time now. So I'm just going to pick the sign up, not worry about that.
Yep.
I do know that there was an issue about the speed limit signs on 121, and I talked to Bill about it, and I did order in some signs for it. If we get time, we'll try to put them up before the ground freezes. Just the 35-mile-an-hour signs from pretty much the village all the way to the old schoolhouse there in Holtonville.
Those are the ones that just came in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have one more thing in the village park, and Danny's conversation on signs prompted my memory. I would like to see us put a sign up at the intersection of the new road that says Village Park Access or something like that, that designates that road and access. If we're going to have more people using the area, we're going to have logging, we're going to have activity there, it would be nice that that sign is there identifying that road, and it has a 911 address or location, just in case there's an emergency response, it's identified. I'd suggest we have Village Park access or, on the sign. Just my idea.
That's a good point.
You mean like a road name sign?
I would
A green sign.
I would take in. I mean, it's the village park and it's an entrance. I'd really look and see if you couldn't find someone to make one out of a wooden sign. You know, the signs where it says "Welcome to Grafton," they look so much nicer than the green metal road signs we get. I mean, I think they're ugly, but I think if you're going to enter the park, it'd be kind of nice if you could find someone to make one out of wood and they router it in, kind of like the "Welcome to Grafton" signs. It would look so much nicer up on the bank up there.
Yep.
I don't have a problem putting it in, but you go to a lot of these state parks and stuff, and they use a 4x4 post and a nice wooden sign. I just think it looks better than these metal or aluminum green signs.
Well, why don't I have Bill do a little research and see if we get an estimate and see what the thing costs and whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that better.
So, the green metal ones are reflective though, right?
Yes.
So they do show up after dark. That would be
Just an
my,
idea.
I don't care, but I think it needs to be named and identified
All right,
somehow.
let's see what we can do, and we'll put it on the agenda if we get some design or a cost or whatever for the next meeting, or as soon as we can, okay?
Danny, are
Yeah.
you putting the lines up on the Houghtonville Hill?
We probably won't see them this year.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they only come around, it's like a one-shot thing, and if they don't do them early on, they don't usually come back.
Didn't they send out a memo a little while ago to make sure that all the roads were done? Didn't they question if things were done?
That was before it was paved.
Oh, it was, okay.
Yep.
All right, anything else for Danny? If not, move on to Kim.
I don't have anything new. We're approaching our second quarter taxes already.
Smiley.
Yeah, finally. Not much is new. I still have ballots rolling in. Probably have over 200 ballots already for absentees that have been mailed in, and more coming. That's probably it. We're still going to have elections held at the Brick Meeting House. I can't think of anything else happening. I'm underway. I'm online for, actually, yeah, that's a good one. As of the 13th, I became up online at Record Hub for my land records from book 56 to 60. I'm in 60 right now. So we've met the requirements so far for the grant. And by the end of December, we should have from book 38 to book 60. So that's a really huge jump. And then I have a lot more I want to add to it. So, and I have applied for another grant that I'm hoping to hear. It's a minimum of 5,000, and it's to help out with anything to do with elections. And everyone says to look at the big picture for upcoming town meeting, not knowing if we're going to be able to even hold a town meeting and what would it look like. So I applied for a grant that would ask for additional help, a laptop for another location, possibly a camera or some sort of a screen in case we have to do a virtual. Some of the clerks have been even talking about there's a possibility that the legislator wrote in that instead of having everything by by floor vote, we can change it to Australian ballot. That's a possibility too, coming up with town meeting. I don't know what it would look like with budget and moving it to an Australian, but that's something that Bill said. All this came about like Friday in conversation, so it's something Bill's gonna research into and find out where are we gonna be when town meeting comes. What's it gonna look like? So.
The other thing is, and it's up to you guys if you want to talk about it tonight, is the dates for the budget meetings at the Brick Meeting House. Question is, it's middle of October, and we wouldn't start until the first or second week in November. Do you want to put it on the agenda for the next meeting, or do you want to pick some dates now? I mean, people might not have scheduled 3 weeks from now. I don't know, so it's up to you.
Yeah, do it. I would think next meeting would be
Okay.
better.
All right, I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Anything else?
My request is the meetings are after dark.
No, they're 6 o'clock.
That's what I said, after dark.
Yeah.
The budget meetings.
4:30 is gonna be after dark shortly.
Anyway. All right. If anything else, Kim, you have anything else?
Nope, I don't have anything else unless you guys have any questions.
Okay. Everybody did get their budget worksheets, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you have any questions, Kim will, she has very little time lately with elections, but she'll give you a couple of minutes to
Yeah,
ask any
definitely.
questions. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Who's gonna open the bids? Kathy is so you can open them up?
I got one.
Go ahead. Only one?
Yep, we had two people that were at the bid site visit. Danny Taylor and Mark Rushton, and Mark is the only one who turned his in at 3:15 this afternoon. I'm opening it.
The other one's blacker.
To the Select Board of Grafton, I would like to bid on the logs at the Village Park off Fire Pond Road. I'm putting a bid in of $601.
Oh,
Thank you, Mark Rushton.
sounds like the high bidder to me.
Yeah, and that's both piles, right? That's everything that's up there, right?
So somebody want to make a motion to accept the loan bid, or do we need a motion?
Make the motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
All right, any further discussion? If not, then all in favor of accepting Mark's Rushton's bid of $601 for the firewood at the Village Park, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Mark.
How many cord were there, Ellen?
We never estimated the cords. I didn't want to argue with people. I just said, here's the piles. You decide what it's worth.
Well, I understand that, but you see the piles now. I'm just curious if you have some idea of what was there.
I think there was probably close to 2 log truck loads, maybe.
Okay, that's good enough. Close enough.
Yep.
Okay, the next thing is, and it's on the agenda because we still, the constable is not an issue right now. The planning commission doesn't have any recommendations, and to my knowledge, unless something happened within a couple of hours, there's been nobody who wants to be on the planning commission or the tree ward. So just, it's on the agenda so that everybody is aware that we do eventually need a constable, and we need a planning commission member and a tree warden at some point. So if anybody knows of anybody or whatever, pass the word. And do you want to run another ad in the Grafton News for the planning commission and the tree warden, or do you think it's done enough?
Can I instigate some discussion relative to the tree warden?
Go ahead.
So I was in the town office the other day and there was a little discussion going on. I've had some of the people that originally offered to help with the Emerald Ash Borer survey. They want to know if we're going to do it or not. And my feeling is I hate to have people volunteer if after they invest some of their own time and the select board doesn't follow up with it. It was also suggested that we not do the Emerald Ash Borer survey until we have a tree warden to ask that tree warden to coordinate it or facilitate it. Not all of the select board was there when that discussion took place. So I thought I would share with you and kind of get a feel for what the rest of the board feels. I hate to waste volunteers' time if we're not going to do something with it.
Well, I think we did, and again, Bill's not here, so I don't know, but I remember that we were going to do the survey of the ash trees.
Well, we were, and then of course the COVID came and that stopped it. We didn't want to put people in vehicles riding together, so that put it on hold. And then there was discussion we should do it until we have a tree warden.
Well, how does everybody feel about if we can get the volunteers to do it with the virus, doing it safely? Should we continue to do it, or should we wait for the tree warden, which who knows when that's going to happen?
Well, do we need a tree warden in so-called in charge of it? I mean, who is Alan heading this up? The actual survey itself? I mean, there has to be somebody in charge of it.
But we have a committee, and I think Alan was the chair of that committee, correct?
I think by default, yeah.
Okay,
Well, that works.
but I guess Alan is asking, do we want to, do you want Alan to continue and do this survey now, or do you want to wait until we finally end up with the tree warden? I guess that's what you're asking, Alan. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there was some line of thinking that the tree warden was an important part of it and should be involved and probably take the lead on this. And that probably not much would happen if we didn't have a tree warden. That was somebody's thinking.
Well, I think logically it makes sense that if you had a tree warden, that would be the person that would head that committee up. But I also agree with Alan. You had this group of people that were willing to do it. But then again, if somebody has to be able to lead that group of people down the path of ash tree counting.
Is there,
Do we-
Alan,
no.
Alan, Alan, is there anyone in your group of volunteers that would be interested in being tree warden?
I haven't specifically asked them that. I mean, they all live in town and I'm assuming they read the Grafton News and they're aware that we're looking for one. I have not specifically asked or canvassed them. I can do that.
I think it's a good point. Obviously, they're interested in trees and they're interested in that type of thing. I think it'd be worthwhile just to bounce it off of them.
Well, Alan, how about if we do this? Give you a couple of weeks to contact the members of the committee to see if there's any interest in becoming a tree warden and any interest of doing the survey, and we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody would be willing to do that.
All right, I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll send an email to all of them and explain that we've discussed it, what we're looking for a tree warden, see where it goes.
And maybe the group would still might be reluctant with the virus still in to do something. I don't know.
You know, there might have two people that be willing to work together on the tree warden situation. You know, you can have a warden and an assistant or something. If two people.
Under the regulations, you can have a deputy. I
Yeah.
think you read the.
Yep.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. The next. You done with the tree warden now? Whatever. Okay. The next thing is the cemeteries. You all got the memo that Muller said we can dig the gravel pit. We can dig for gravel. I don't know where Danny's not here, or maybe. Do you want to talk about the other sites, or would you like to see if we get gravel there as well? How would you like to proceed with the picking of the site?
Well, we've got the two other sites, and one is Holtonville, and the other is Cobb. And I went up and I looked at both of those. I have not looked at the one on Chester Road there. What's his name?
Muller.
Muller, right? I would actually like to see. I mean, it's going to be harder to add property to, but I think Holtonville Cemetery, in my mind anyway, is the one we should be concentrating on.
No, I agree with that, Stan.
Yeah.
I looked at it. I looked at it the other day.
Yeah, it would be easy. The one out in Cobb would probably be the easiest one to add. But the problem is to buy the property is fairly expensive, and we're talking about other people buying into it. It becomes a real mishmash of trying to divide that piece of property up. I understand where you want to go with it, but I just think Holtonville Cemetery is the cemetery we should concentrate on. And even if we have to contact another landowner, it's not going to take, these are huge pieces of property around that cemetery. And if we could just get 2 more acres or something associated with that cemetery in another, from somebody else, I just think I think it's the way to pursue it.
Well, the problem is, we don't know whether or not the individual is willing to even donate or sell the land.
I understand that.
So,
If
what,
we have some sort of a plan, you know, and give them a plot plan, show them how, based on their size of their properties, how little it would impact their current piece of property by adding on to Houghton.
well, we can have Bill, you know, get the surveys.
Yeah,
And he can, you know, mark out an acre or 2 acres or 3 acres and put the location, and then try to send them a request if they would be willing to donate or sell. I think the new buyer's there now, are they not? I think they bought that house, is that correct?
I don't know.
It was for sale.
No, it's still the same owners. It has been right along for quite a few years. Accardo.
That's not Rodriguez though, right?
No, it's Accardo. You're
Okay.
talking about the yellow house just
Yes.
past. Yeah, that's Accardo.
But the
Okay.
land that you're interested in, Stan, is on Parmalee's.
Okay.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
No,
most
not
of it's
really.
on Parmalee's. It's right on the edge of Parmalee's
Right.
line.
But that only goes down like a third of the way down along the back. At least the plot plan that I have, Parmalee's only goes back, goes past the stone wall on the back side of Houghtonville Cemetery, about a third of the way.
Yeah. Well, you need both of them, Stan. But,
Yes. Well, yeah, that would be ideal. Yes, absolutely.
And I don't know, is Avocado never got back that I know of.
So is it what I'm hearing is that we want Bill to pursue with Pomeroy and the other owner there, getting an acre or 2 acres or what, 3 acres of land? Is that what we want to do?
That's what I would recommend. I don't know what everybody else thought.
Well, you know,
I just think that's the one to concentrate on.
I would like to throw into the discussion at the Cobb Cemetery or West Cemetery, as you come up Stagecoach Road and then make that hard turn on to Hall Ranch Road, there's a triangle right there of pines where you get down to the cemetery itself.
Yeah.
Typically where white pine is growing is a gravelly or sandy soil. That's why the pine's there as a rule. So, and that it's just a little triangular piece. It seems like the soil would be worth looking at. And that triangle piece seems like it would not be a high value for a future house site. Seems like that would be worth looking at that piece. And I
think
would,
she already indicated she wouldn't sell a piece.
what's that?
This Barkley already indicated she would not sell a piece of that land. She wants to sell it all.
There's more to that piece than that
There's
triangle.
21 acres in there.
Yeah. That used to belong to the Mosley girl. And
Right.
Arrow put a road into that, access into that, and then she died and nothing else was done.
Oh, that's
Right.
what that is down on Stagecoach going into that?
Yeah.
It was going to be a house or something?
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah.
But
So-
That's
but that
21 acres
piece-
and
that-
still split
that's
it.
not 21 acres there. Where's the rest of it?
The whole piece is 21 acres,
including the triangle.
including the triangle, right? She owns all the way from the edge of that triangle where the two roads come together, all the way
Right.
down to, I think, probably Mosley or something.
See, I personally like the Cobb Cemetery site better than the Houghtonville Cemetery site, but
Yeah, I do too.
Land-wise.
how do we want to proceed? I mean, we have to make some definitive. Do you want to proceed with the Houghtonville property first, or do you want to proceed simultaneously with both?
What about Mullers?
Well, that's another one. You got Muller and Danny. I don't know if you could schedule. He said you can go over there and dig test pits anytime you want.
Well, I went over with him initially and walked it. And I don't know if you don't want me over there anymore or not, or what, but I would think you'd want me and Danny to go over and dig some holes and see what's there.
Well, I
Just got the email back saying we had permission, so
Yeah.
I just got that last couple days. So it's whenever you want to go.
I think you should do it. John and Danny, go ahead and do it and see if there's gravel there. Because if there's gravel there, then that's also a potential site for a cemetery as well.
Right.
You know, you've got 3 sites. I think you should pursue all 3 and see
I
which
agree.
one is going to be the best. And I like the Cobb one only because you can have the cemetery across the road. It's easy access, and to talk to Mr. Peacom to see what he might offer. He might even give the land. You don't know.
He wants to have more land though. If he gives that away, he wants a piece of that land across the street.
Well, he's got to have it for land use.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
If you're gonna spend the money on that triangle piece, that's a much nicer piece than the rest of it.
Right.
Well, so do I hear that we need to instruct Bill that we want to pursue all 3 sites?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll go after that. Okay.
And Danny, if whenever I'd go over with you anytime you want.
All right. I know I will have to look and see because I'm off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday because I'm having another surgery done.
Yep.
I'm not sure how fast recovery will be, but as soon as I know, we can do that. Or if you don't mind, I can have Mike go over with you and do it because you know where we marked them. But if you don't
Yep.
mind waiting, I'll go with you.
It doesn't make any difference. I can wait. Sure. There's no problem. I got
Yep.
plenty of time.
All right.
Yeah, there's no time limit on digging the holes there, so there's no issue.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have any other business?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So the subject is the wastewater survey, and I'm reporting on behalf of our commission. We want to make sure the select board is aware and supportive of the wastewater survey, which will be launched in November and will cover approximately 70 properties in high priority properties in the village. The 20 of those properties are belonging to the foundation, and Stan and Chris met with Bob Donald about these 20 properties, and he's going to be handling those separately, but he is cooperative and supportive of what we're doing in terms of the wastewater survey for both the commercial and the residential properties that fall within the 70 properties that we're surveying. So that leaves 50 surveys that we are going to begin mailing the week of October 26th. And the surveys will be due back on December 1st. And as soon as we have the results compiled, I'll be getting in touch with you to report the results.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment?
I got a couple of things, Joe.
Go ahead. Other business. I mean.
The other business.
Go ahead.
I never heard anything more about the excess money we had in the cemetery account, that if we could use it or what was going on.
The last thing that I knew was that I guess whether it be Kim or the public trustees of public funds were going to get the contracts or the original documentation, and we were going to send it over to the attorney for an interpretation of what the original intent for that monies were. And I don't know where that stands.
We haven't really gone much further on it. It's just been awful busy with the new grants coming up and having deadlines and the election. So no,
Okay.
I haven't gotten together the trustee of public funds papers for him to take to the attorney to take a look at.
Okay.
But I'll mark that down and try and get on that this
There's
week.
no rush. There's no rush, Kim. I mean, obviously the elections and all the other stuff are more important right now. So,
I'll get on it though.
John, go ahead.
And the other thing was there was quite a lot of communication back and forth about a sheriff living in town. Then I kind of dropped and haven't heard no more.
I think what the last time I talked to Bill was last week is that there were no really houses available from the foundation, and there were some private sales, and I don't know where that stands. I think it's a great idea, but I don't know how to make it happen.
Was Bill still in touch, Joe, with that sheriff that was interested?
He's still interested in coming to Grafton.
Yeah, he's been in touch with them right along, just that it's a matter of him finding a house that he finds suitable for himself, because like Joe said, there's nothing for the Wyndham Foundation. But as something keeps popping up or we're aware of a house, we're letting Bill know, and Bill's then relaying the message onto the
Yeah.
sheriff. So I guess it's all what he can do.
Yeah, the house next to me, the log cabin, is available after December 28th.
I think he's also thinking about purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why anything that comes up for sale, we're kind of passing it on. And he is interested more, according to Bill, the village would be ideal.
Yeah. And I think there were one or two houses in the village that are privately sale, that are not listed with a real estate. And I think I don't know whether Bill has communicated that to him or not. But we can check. I can check with Bill to see if he did. There was a red house, a school near School Street, I think.
Right, Michelle Pape, P-A-P-E.
Right, and there's another one, and I don't know where the other one sits, but and I don't know the status of those houses at this moment either. So.
Well, North Star Gallery is for sale.
Huh? That's
The
sold.
North Gallery is for sale.
Oh,
That's sold.
That's all?
Yeah.
Well, it's under contract.
On the
Oh.
contract. Yeah. And Fort Chimneys, if everybody's interested, Fort Chimneys is on the contract as well.
wow.
So.
I just wanted to make a comment for Suzanne's benefit if she's not aware. But there was a point in time when the foundation offered a residence to the state police. There was at least 3 different state police officers and 1 sheriff that lived in a house near the
gas station.
near the gas station. And when that happened, it really was helpful. That vehicle would come and go to the residents. It was always people would see it in town. It was very helpful that the foundation made that available to the law enforcement. And I think there were some people that were hoping possibly something like that could happen again. So that's, I don't know if you were aware that took place.
I don't want to speak out of turn.
Information.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do believe Bill communicated that to Bob Donnell, and they showed no interest in that.
Well,
That's correct.
I understand that, but I thought it was important for Suzanne to know that as a board member and to know a little history of why that was brought up. That for several years, that was very beneficial, having somebody live in foundation housing in the village.
Yeah, that historical aspect of that is actually what started this conversation, actually.
Well, I know that, but I didn't think Suzanne did, and I thought it was important for her to know it.
I do appreciate that very much, Al. I did not know that history, and I think it is important to know it. This has a lot to do with availability. There are just no houses available right now.
Understand?
Okay. Any other business? John, are you done? Or do you have more?
For now, we'll wait till next time.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I was not at the last meeting, obviously, and I read the minutes, and I get the feeling that we are preparing to start having our select board meetings at the Brick Meeting House. But I don't read that in the minutes that was decided. So
No, it's not.
was that decided at the meeting and not recorded, or
No,
is
Alan,
that just discussion?
It has not been decided. At
Okay.
the time, because there was no internet, and the board wanted to make sure that it was prepared for us. And that's the last thing that we have to discuss today. If you notice on number 12, it's the date of next select board meeting, November, a combination of Microsoft Team and live. But we have to get the board has to approve that we will have the live portion of it at the Brick Meeting House. The internet is installed, okay, it's all ready to go. And if the board approves that, then we will, on the next agenda, it'll be there at 6 o'clock first, and anybody who wants to go on Microsoft Team will also have the availability to do so. And any select board member who doesn't want to attend in person can do it via Microsoft Term as well.
Okay.
So we need to get an approval that we would continue to do that. That was never fully discussed because we weren't sure the facilities there were available, and now they are installed.
I think we
Can I
should wait to the next meeting because of the election the following day.
That's okay too. We can postpone it until I don't have my calendar up here, but what would be November? Anybody have a calendar handy?
November 16th.
16th, it would
All
be
right, so
14 days.
all right, so then why don't we just postpone the live meeting to November 16th?
Can I just say something about this? Like I say at every single meeting, I went in the office and talked to Bill about this too, and I'm assuming that the Historical Society Board has since voted on this to allow this to happen. And number two, is there a cleaning plan for if you're going to have public meetings there and all that kind of stuff with the COVID? Is there a plan in place for that, since it will be a public room? You know what I'm saying?
Well, if there isn't, there will be, and there wasn't a plan, Wendy, because we haven't officially decided. So if we're going to be on November 16th, there has to be a plan, which we will have to, adhere to, and that plan will have to be also for the election as well as for any other use of the building. And as far as I know, the building has been okay to use, so and we
I mean, I contacted Craig, the chair of the Historical Society Board, after your last meeting, and he knew the election was going to take place there, but he said the board had not talked about other meetings being there. That's why I asked Bill, and he was going to get in touch with him as well.
Right, and I believe that Bill did talk to Tanya
Okay.
Evans, and I do believe that was cleared. So.
And Craig
But
on,
Tanya's-
I think it was Thursday.
Craig, Tanya's not on the board.
Oh, no,
so
but
Craig-
Tanya did talk to
Yeah.
the Historical Society. And
Okay.
Bill sent a memo out, I think it was today or Friday, requesting the official permission and the insurance certificate for liability for the town. So obviously, if we don't get that, you don't have the meetings. So, but I'm sure it's going to be there. I know there is a liability policy, but I can't tell you what it's for or how it works. So that we're okay to then go live and Microsoft Team on the 16th of November. Is that okay? All right. Is there any other business? No, well, there's nothing else. So, Kim, are you gonna have to work with Bill to do the COVID necessary cleanup and all that kind of baloney?
We kind of touched base on it a little bit, how we're gonna do the cleaning, if we were gonna, get anybody to do the cleaning, or will it be ourselves, or what's gonna happen?
All right, but you're that's on in your radar.
Yeah, it was on our radar when he left on Thursday.
Okay, great. Okay.
Mr. Chair, may I just ask a follow-up question to that? Since the town already has a plan, the ACC, whatever plan that is, does that plan apply, or does there have to be another plan through the Historical Society for the Brick Meeting House specifically?
I can't answer that question, but I think the town is liable and has to follow anything that is recommended by the state. I mean that's we don't have a choice. Just like we with the town hall and whatever, we have to conform to whatever regulations the state has put on public buildings or officials. Is that right, Kim?
Yeah, and it's mainly a sign-in sheet for contact tracing, wiping down the facility of any place that was touched afterwards. It's not really too involved.
No,
There's
no.
no public restrooms, so it would be very minimal, but the contact tracing is the biggest part of it. Make sure everybody signs in
And
with
Kim,
a phone number.
and in the plan, you have to assign, each organization has to assign a quote unquote health officer.
Yeah.
Are you the health officer for the town with respect to the ACCD plan?
I am.
Will you be that for the Brick Meeting House when public meetings are held there, or would that be a responsibility of the Historical Society? That's what I'm not quite clear on.
Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't be for all meetings that would be held there. That'd be something we're gonna have to discuss.
What about Rich Thompson? He's the health officer, so wouldn't he be responsible maybe?
But the problem is, it has to be somebody that's on site. They actually have to be there. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if you're gonna designate one person for all meetings. Because that means that person needs to be there at every meeting.
Well,
No,
yeah,
I
sure,
think
I'm sure.
responsible, whoever the meeting is, would have to be responsible for
Right.
supplying a person. If it's a town function, we could do that as you being the safety officer, because you already are for the town.
Right. And I'm sure you can designate anybody for each particular meeting, like if the wastewater committee wanted to have a meeting there, you would name someone as your safety officer or your health officer.
It would just have to be aware of the protocols.
Yeah.
But but I mean, when the wastewater committee has talked about going back live, which I don't foresee anytime soon, we've been, even to stuff our envelopes and everything like that, we've been envisioning, because we're such a small committee, just going upstairs in the town hall. Is that not going to be available for live commission or committee meetings? And do we need to think about moving?
The town hall is not really set up for, if you're gonna bring in fact TV or something like that, and for Zoom. It's more difficult because it's, we don't have that, as I understand it, Kim, is that correct?
Right, yeah.
But
Not
Sue,
handicap
were you
accessible.
just referring to the 5 people meeting for the wastewater thing?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I think. That's what.
Committee, not a town attended.
But you're a public meeting, so it has to be open to the
Yeah.
public.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing you got to be conscious of, opened up to the public, not handicap accessible up there. And if you were to move it downstairs, then you would not find enough space in there for even 5 or 6 people to fit into Bill's office 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
So you just got to keep that in mind when you guys do meet, that you might have someone that just wants to sit in on your meeting, or someone who can't make it upstairs.
And the Brick Meeting House is available for any committee. So if you want, Susan, if you wanted to have a committee meeting there in live, or a live Zoom, or however you want to do it, it's certainly available, and you've got all the necessary, internets and everything else, and handicapped access and in and out and all that stuff.
And even if you're not going to Zoom it, it still has the open enough space if you were to have someone,
Right.
a group come in.
And just fill me in, as a board member of the foundation. I believe we made a donation to make the town hall handicapped accessible. Is that been kind of put on the back burner now? What's the status of that funding?
I think it's still sitting in a reserve, but I think it's kind of been put on the back burner. We did do a lot of research into it, but at this point, you can't even get contractors. You can't get engineers. None of them want to enter buildings. You can't even get Xfinity to come in or VTEL. They're not supposed to enter the buildings.
Yeah, that's very understandable. Thank you.
So I think we're kind of just sitting and waiting, and
yeah, we're all stuck in a way. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was a great explanation.
Okay, if there's nothing else, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Who's the second, by the way? Who was the second?
I did.
Okay, John seconded. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Well, thank you so much for attending tonight. Thank you, Kim. You did a great job.
Okay, thank you, Wendy.
Enjoy everything.
Bye, guys.
See
Thank
everybody
you very
around.
much.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Night, Joe.
And don't forget to turn off the recorder.
Okay, we're off.
There you go. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Hey, sweetie. Yeah, they just ended. I closed the dogs. I didn't know if the dogs were gonna bark. I fed them at 5 and I walked them. They both pooped.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm just reading an email here.
Okay.